Okay, I'm working on a Ford 6.0. This is a 2006 F350, and I'm going to be showing you how to get these, if you're taking the engine out, how to get your torque converter bolts undone from your flywheel. And the first thing I'm going to want to do is come over to the driver's side. And we're going to need a 14 millimeter. We got 6 of these things, a good little cheater bar, and a screwdriver some sort to pry this little rubber plug loose. So like I said, we're on the driver's side, and we're going to go in right under here, and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so we're on the driver's side, right back here at the oil pan. You can see the oil pan. There's your plug, drain plug. Here's the oil pan. Look right up here. That black thing right there is your access plug. We're just going to pry that up with a screwdriver and completely remove that. So that's where you're going to go in at, and that's what that looks like. So with all the grease and grime, it kind of blends in. You can't even tell it's there. So we're going to go in right through here, and we can look in here. I don't know if I can get positioned enough to show you here, but we're going to go right in there and get to those 14 millimeters, and I'm going to show you how to get set up on this. Okay, so you've got underneath and you located the plug so you know how to get in to get to your bolts on the torque converter. And your next set of problem is, well, how am I going to move the torque converter so I can get access to all of the bolts? Well, first thing you want to do, if you hadn't done it already, is get your glow plugs out, because with the compression on this engine, it's going to be dang near impossible to turn this thing. So the first thing you want to do is get all 8 of those glow plugs. So your glow plugs are located over here on these sides. And if your glow plug harness is not brand new, plan on breaking every single one of those trying to get your harness off of there. So it's just, they get dry and brittle, and I know there's a tool. I've got a tool, and I have tried to remove them. Even on an engine that I've got out over here, I've tried to pull them straight off, as straight as I could, and they still break. So, you know, they get brittle. You can see it right there, it broke trying to pull it off. So even with the engine out, you can't do it without breaking them. And here's the tool. This is what, I mean, you can use this. You might be able to get a few of them off of there with it. It just has a little hook that goes in there on your glow plugs. See if I can find one on this side to show you. So you got that glow plug right there, and this is designed to slip underneath the lip of it, like so. And, you know, in theory, it's supposed to be able to pull it off of there. And you can see that I'm giving it quite a bit of force, pulling straight, and see it broke. And that's what they're going to do if it's not brand new. So anyways, you'd have to pretty much take a screwdriver and pry them the rest of the way out of there. That's what I do. I'll get a screwdriver and just kind of dig them out of there the best I can. Now once you get those out, you'll take a 10 millimeter with a small ratchet. Get a 10 millimeter deep. Get them broke loose. You can get them the rest of the way by hand. A small ratchet, and you're able to get to them. Now this side on this passenger will be your most difficult. You'll definitely want to remove that plastic tire well to get to those. You can get to them without doing that, but they're the most difficult ones to get in there too, but you can get to them all. But when they're if you got an old harness on there, those things stick in there like you couldn't imagine. They're really hard to get out of there. So anyways, once you get those glow plugs out, you'll, like I said, use a 10 millimeter, get all your glow plugs out, have you a magnet to fish them out of there with. You'll need a magnet, but then you'll be able to actually get some you'll be able to turn this thing without having a whole lot of trouble. And I'll just show you what I've got set up here. Give me just 1 second. Okay, now what I've got here, this is comes with a Chrysler puller kit. Now you can rent these. I do believe that AutoZone and places like that have these. This particular part of the Chrysler puller is just to hold the pulley still while you break it loose. In other words, if you're breaking it loose or putting it on, it holds the pulley still while you tighten that bolt. And that's all it is. It just has these nubs on here. Now, I'm not saying there's not any other way you could rig up to move this thing, but you see that you don't have a center bolt, so you'd have to get a hold of one of those others, and I guess you could try to move it by some other means, but this was the easiest and simplest way that I had come up with. Like I said, I just slide this on here like so, and I'm turning it in a counterclockwise manner because that's working out the best for me. And I've just got my breaker bar and an extension, and we just go right into that slot right there. And I had absolutely no problem turning this with those glow plugs out. So no compression. Okay, so now we're just going to take, like I said, the breaker bar, and we're going to get it positioned, and I've got it where I need it to line up for that first bolt under there. So we're going to go ahead and go back under there, and we may have to prop the breaker bar over here on the frame if we have to, depending on how hard these are to break loose, but we're going to find out here. So we're going to go back under the truck now. Okay, so you can see how I'm positioned with my little ratchet right through that window there. I've got a short extension on it, and I'm on that 14mm. Now we'll want to make sure when we're getting this loose, and I'm using a little cheater bar, that we keep that perfectly still and keep force on there so we're not slipping off and stripping those bolts or nuts or whatever it is. But like I said, it's going to take quite a bit of force to break it loose, but that's how we're set up on it there. And I'll also point out I've got my magnet here handy too once I get it completely loose. I'm going to go ahead and work on this first one here. Okay, and those are in fact little 14mm locking nuts, and so we're just going to turn that a little bit more and move on to the next. Like I said, we got 6 of them, I know. I would like to point out that if you have an extra set of hands, that it's going to make it a lot easier. But if not, you're going to get a lot of exercise like me here, going back and forth. Okay, I've managed to get 3 of them off so far, and one of them did in fact drop down in there. It slipped my magnet. But this here, I just thought I'd give you a better idea of what's going on. You can see where the locations are around this flywheel. And here is your access plug that you remove. And you can see how you have to have this extension to get in through here. And I'd also point out that, I mean, you're kind of going by feel. It's really hard to like see anything from under the vehicle, but you're looking in there like that and you'll get on those 6 nuts that are coming through here, and here's, you know, the location. So we're coming through here, and also when removing these, there's enough tension and pressure in there, even with those glow plugs out, that I'm not having to hold that crank steel. I'm able to break them loose, and these things are pretty tight. I'm using the cheater bar and everything. Like I said, we got 3 of them, and we're just going to keep working our way on around, get those last 3, and we should be all finished up. Okay, so we did in fact get all 6 of them out using this method that I showed you. Like I said, this little tool here worked out pretty well. Actually got it hung up on here now. but I was able to turn that any way I needed it, forward or backwards with that thing. So that come in real handy. Said it comes with a Chrysler puller kit if you can get your hands on one of them. I mean, I suppose you could come up with something else to maybe get a hold of it, to grab this and just lock in there with something you can get in here and just grab a hold and get some force to push that thing around. But that was the quickest and handiest thing that I had. So like I said, we got all those out, and I did however drop 3 of the 14mm nuts in there, even trying to use the magnet, because you're just really going by feel in there. You know, it's really difficult to get in there and try to get those as far back as you have to go. So, but we'll get those out of there later when we remove the engine. But you know, that was without a doubt probably the toughest part of this, and getting to the transmissions, no big deal. But you know, hopefully that can help somebody out, like I said, because it's kind of difficult. And you know, just knowing where you need to go in through this driver's side. Like I said, you'll have a dirty, grimy plug in there like that, and if you can get a second set of hands and get somebody out here turning this as you need it while you're under there taking those 14mm out, that'll speed things up a lot as well. But alright, well, like I said, hopefully that can be helpful, and thanks for watching.